Hi. So, good afternoon, everybody. Today is our sort of first session of interaction, slightly on the technical side. And again, not so technical because today I am going to just describe to you what we have sent in the kit. So I believe that 21 students have already received the kit. So if it is so, please just raise your hand if you have received the kit, so that we want to make sure that, so there are a few. Yes, fantastic. So very nice, lovely. So yeah, thank you, thank you. So I hope nothing is broken per se. So if there is something broken, you need to sort of get back to us quickly. Just let us know and see what we can do about it. All right. So
I think some student had, at least I got one email where the glass slide was completely broken. But other than
okay,
that,
fine. Okay,
that can be managed.
I see. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So first things first. What you would get, I'm just showing you. So if you can, maybe you can spotlight my video camera as this thing, right? You want to, maybe you want to pin my video camera so that it is
You
easier.
have to pin the video, then that becomes much larger. Huh?
Okay. So I
the
think if you pin,
speaker view, that will also work.
I see. Okay. So there you go. So this is the kind of box you guys are going to get. Okay. Of course, this would be packed. So this will be wrapped by a bubble wrap, and it contains a few goodies, right? So what I'm going to do is basically open this box in front of you in a home setting. So this is literally my home, and I'm sitting on the floor just to make life more realistic. And so this is the box, right? And you would find this little sheet. Don't throw it away with the packing, because this has got a wire. If you can see this wire in my camera, I hope you can see the wire, right? There's a wire which you'll be using for quite a few experiments, including diffraction and, for example, making a double slit and so on. So this wire is important. So then you have two prisms, right? And the intention of these two prisms is to basically, we have an experiment called the total internal reflection, and we want to play around with these two prisms to basically go beyond total internal reflection. That is called frustrated total internal reflection. So there you would require to basically make an arrangement like this appropriately and put in the light and so on. And there is spacing between the two. This spacing could either be, controlled by a sheet of paper and so on, so that you can put in the light and look at this something called frustrated total internal reflection. Anyway, I will not get into it now, but this prisms, the spare is precisely for that purpose, right? So I'll keep it aside. Then I'm just removing it from the top. So whatever comes in my hand, right? No specific order. Then there is a torch. This is a LED torch, hopefully with a battery. So I'm sure you can see that it's on. And this LED torch, and you can do multiple things with it, including measuring coherence and probably also trying to image that LED which is there in the torch, right? We could do that. So feel free to use it, and you will see that you will use it in some way or other for multiple things, right? So that is next item. Then we have these two pieces of black sheet, right? This cut is about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches sides. And so if you put these sheets, so look at this, I'm putting these sheets together, and when I have rotated, you see the transmission through these sheets is different. Can you see that? It becomes darker, it becomes lighter. There is a particular place where it becomes completely dark, and then becomes lighter and so on. So these are actually polarizers called sheet polarizers. So they can be used together, and you'll probably use both of them to study something called the Malus law. And also you can do variety of other things. For example, you want to look at whether the skylight that is falling, is that polarized? So you see, if light is unpolarized, as you rotate it, there is no change. But if it is polarized, you see that the intensity will change depending on how you rotate it. Now, this thing has got a little curvature, and I can assure you that you will have to come up with some design, maybe a hole in a cardboard or something, where you can clearly mount it to be flat, just so that your ease of use is better, right? So please try and do that and mount it on some cardboard with a hole, with a cello tape or something, and you can use them as polarizers, right? So these are 2 sheet polarizers. Then we have blade. Okay, so don't hurt yourself. These are fresh blades, I hope, and there are going to be 2 of them, right? So we want to basically look at scattering from this. We want to look at diffraction of this single edge, right? And you can move this blade into or out of the light. And if you put 2 of them together, then you can form a slit, and you can vary the distance between these 2 slits, right? By just looking at the spacing between them. Not just that, you can do one better, which is between the 2 slits, maybe you mount a wire between the slit, right? At the center, however center you think you can get, you mount a wire, the thin wire which are given you, and then now you already made a double slit experiment, Young's double slit, right? So all these things you will have to construct carefully, slowly, with steady hands, to the best of your ability, right? And I think we have given you 2 blades, so there should be 2 of them. Please don't injure yourself. Very important. We don't want accidents. And do not, if there are small children in your house, please keep this box reasonably away from them. So almost quite a few things in this are dangerous, including the blade and the laser. Then we have these 4 lenses, which are packed in some kind of a packet. And some numbers are written on it. You may not believe them. But basically, we are given you 4 lenses. One is supposed to be of, focal length 5 centimeters, and there is a 10 centimeter one, maybe 2 of them with 10 centimeters, and another one with 20 centimeters. So you will see that multiple experiments, including making a microscope, or making a telescope, or doing the 4F geometry imaging, all that will require these lenses. So there are 4 of them, and they are reasonably broad lenses, so you can handle them carefully. Apart from that, we also have given you this little pack, which has basically 10 slides that you use in sort of bio labs. These are just glass slides. Why this has been given is because one can play around with, for example, you will learn very, very early on something called the Fresnel coefficients, right? So once you have a stack of them, then you can play around with Brewster angle, you can get polarized light, and so on. So there are these 10 of these, right? Again, don't hurt yourself. And you can basically keep this as a scatterer as you put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you see that at every reflection close to the Brewster angle, the light gets polarized, right? So imagine it goes through multiple reflections. Then you see that light gets more and more polarized. So that is something that you can explore using this set of 10 glass slides, right? So those of you for whom it is broken, it's okay. You can still play around with it. So I have another blade. The 2 blades are out. And then we have given you Play-Doh, right? Now you'll wonder, what is this? So this is for actually, so we thought of how to align the optics and how to sort of, use this to maybe do some experiment with on the tabletop. So because we don't have optical stands, we have given you this so that you can actually, put it on the, and fix the lens in it. It's reasonably flexible. For example, you want to align a lens. So let me just try and do that. So I've just removed one of them and I'm just playing and I'm putting it on the table. I hope you can see my table. Yes. Sure, you can have a look at that. And all that I'm going to do is remove one of the lenses and try and see whether I can align my lens in it. Does it remain stable? And indeed it does. There you go. Right? And let us just use the torch maybe just to check whether. Yes, indeed true that you do have this stuff, and probably I cannot show focusing of any kind simply because this is a 20 centimeter one. But you can see that does it change something? It doesn't. Maybe let me use the 5 centimeter lens. That will make it. And indeed, somebody has written in the chat that this has the Play-Doh has oils. So be careful, yeah. So use paper towels and make sure that you carefully clean the lens and don't handle the lens per se. That is, don't touch the optics. Only touch the rim, at most the bottom of it, and you can wipe off the oils that might have come up on it. Idea is that we have to make do with what we have, and obviously if your lens is going to be dirty, your results are not going to be clean. So for example, there you go. So this is the 5 centimeter one, and hopefully just one second, maybe I should use one of these. Yeah, so only when I get it at infinity. So I hope you can see this, well, maybe not in the camera. Problem is the camera. Oops. So all that I'm doing, I'm just trying to show you on a transparent screen, which I am using as the, so this is at, let's say at infinity. And you see that, can you see this is the focal point here? It gets, oh, sorry. Okay, now maybe. So this broadens, yes, you see there's a focal point and then you go around it. So I'm just going around the focus of this lens. If I keep this as so-called infinity, which is not, but it does the job, right? All right, so you can hopefully use this to align optics a little bit. And indeed, you have to be careful with handling the optics. You know, when I, very early on, when I went into the lab, my professor always told me, if you have touched the optics with your hand, you have destroyed it. Okay, so this is the way to hold things. When you are looking at a prism, you never really hold the the faces of the prism. You never touch them. You only look at the top and the bottom. Idea is to keep your finger marks, oils and all that as less contaminated as possible. Okay. And so by the way, you can, to clean this up, you can use, the kind of cloth that you have for your specs, for your chashme wala cloth. That should do, right, to clean it up. All right. So the next important thing, the most important thing at the end of the day is the laser. So laser comes in this very nice fancy pack, right? And it's got a neat box which opens into this, something like this. It's a laser pointer, all right? And it's a green laser pointer. Please remember that this laser is dangerous to your eye, okay? At the end of the class, I'll tell you a story. But then just remember that this laser is dangerous. So do not, for example, play with the laser make sure that there is nobody on the other side, on those exposed side, and nobody standing there, nobody trying to peep into it. Simply dangerous. Okay. So, and that is written here. Of course, we are Indians, so we never really worry about what is written, but this is needs to be read. And this is indeed a class 4, maybe laser. Class 2, is it? Yeah, my eyesight is terrible, so I can't read it also. I need to use one of those lenses to read it. All right. Yes, that's a class 3 laser. Thank you. So what you have is, so most of the lasers, I think the battery is already put in, but the battery needs to be put in on this side. Okay. So there is to put in the battery. And when you switch on the laser, right, you can actually see patterns like this, some very funny patterns. Okay. Now I got to be careful. I'm pointing it towards myself. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. So that is a kind of, you can, so there is this little thing on the top, which as you vary, you will see that the patterns change. So for example, I think yeah, see, you can see the pattern, which is probably, does the camera pick up this pattern? Yeah, it does, right? Are you able to see the pattern in the camera? Probably you can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and as I vary this, as I turn this around, different patterns come, right? But we are not interested in any of this. Actually, we are interested. Let me put it this way. This is going to be like the, anybody who figures out what is there in this little front end, right? Figures out what is the pattern there that creates these patterns and show us what exactly it is, convinces that it is what it is, and they get A grade straight away. All right. So that's an open problem. Apart from that, I'm just kidding. You can you can screw this out. Okay. Yes, somebody said that it is a crystal. No, not really. There is a pattern which is made, and we want to understand what is the pattern which is there. There are two patterns which are going around each other for you to create this dynamic stuff as you rotate it. So we want to know what those two individual patterns are. Anyway, so this is how the laser pointer probably will show. Okay. So that's the laser output. Now you have got to be extremely careful with it. I will tell you the story later, but so this is a kind of, if when you press it, the light is on. When you remove it, the light gets off, right? So to do all your experiments, you'll have to do something about it, right? So the simplest thing is to press it and then cut out a sellotape, right? And sort of put the sellotape around. Now you see that the laser is reasonably on. So when you're doing this, be careful, because as you're moving around, and if you change the direction of the laser, you can come into your eye, right? So I've now done this, and this is what the laser output is. Now it's on all the time, right? I need to carefully align this. So the very first experiment is to measure the fluctuation in this light. You understand? So this light is there, and I want to measure the fluctuation in this light. So that is precisely, we will talk about that in a few moments, how we are going to measure the fluctuations in that. So I will talk about the Firefox app, but that's a way to put everything together. Is that okay? And remember that there's battery, so things get discharged. It is best that you shut it off when you don't require. Please do not play with this, or don't allow anybody, any child in your home to play with this laser. We really don't want any accident related to the eye. Okay. And this laser is indeed class 3. So please, it can actually damage your eye. All right. Now you might think that, you know, all of you are from physics background. So first, let me tell you the story, which should reasonably scare you, which scared me when I was doing my PhD. It should scare you now, so as to handle the laser with some respect. So there was a colleague of mine who was in the chemistry lab, And these chemists, they usually create compounds which can create something called the third harmonic. Okay, Sahil Kumar, you don't have a Play-Doh, please buy it from the shop. Yeah, we can't send you the Play-Doh alone, right? So please go ahead, buy a reasonably, don't buy the cheapest one. The next expensive one will have less, uh, less oil in it. So we tried that. The cheapest one does leave a lot of remnants, but the slightly, this is some $60 or something. That should be okay. All right. So there are these people who make these compounds which show very large nonlinearity. What that means is that so they were looking at something called second harmonic. By the way, what it means is that if I take a wavelength, a laser of wavelength 1000 nanometers, and I put it through a material that can exhibit second harmonic, then you see that this laser, the output of that light, once it goes through this material, is going to be at 500 nanometers. Lambda is going to become lambda by 2, or the frequency is going to become twice the frequency. So usually what people do is these are nonlinear effects. So they require high power lasers as the pump. Pump is the original one, which is coming at, let's say, 1000 nanometers. And the one which is generated, right? That is the second harmonic, which is produced by the material as it goes, goes across the medium. And by looking at various compounds, one can actually, make different materials of different efficiency that generates different efficiency for the same effect. So what these people do is usually take a cuvette. Cuvette is, imagine just a piece of glass within which you can load the sample. This is a powder that the chemists make. You put it in the sample. You put it in front of an ND-YAG laser. Okay, that is neodymium YAG laser. This is a laser that basically, its wavelength is 1064 nanometers. Okay, 1064. So 1000. Think about 1000 nanometers. And when it becomes second harmonic, it becomes 532 nanometers. Okay, which is precisely in green. That's the kind of a green laser that we are seeing. Now you see, when you align this, so 1064 nanometers, you cannot see with the eye. So this guy will come into the lab, align that stuff and generate the second harmonic. And one can never see. So one has to actually wear goggles in the lab so as to protect one's eyes from this largely invisible radiation. Okay. And what he was doing was trying to align a cuvette without following the norm. Standard SOP is to wear those infrared glasses, use the card to figure out where the beam is going. But he was aligning this cuvette in front, which is a flat surface. And the glass has precisely 4% reflection, right? You can check that out. N2 minus N1 by N1 plus N2 whole square. When it is glass, roughly you get about 4% reflection off. Now this reflection went into his eye. And this was, by the way, sort of a 1 watt kind of intensity of that laser. Okay. And it just went to the eye, and all that he heard was a sharp sound in his eye. There's some kind of a small explosion. Okay. And that led to, and then he started seeing things floating within the retina. We can see things floating. So way he describes is like pepper in the eye, which is floating. Okay. And he completely, one part of his retina completely lost, any sensitivity, so that he has a blind spot there. That's why I'm telling you, playing with lasers is not a joke, not to be put into the eye. And if this doesn't scare you, I don't know what will scare you. And after that, in hostel life, that guy was always called Laser Ravi after that. That apart. But the point is, please be very careful with the laser. It is not to be put into the eye. And indeed, until the battery runs out, it is quite bright. Okay, so it can damage your eye. All right. So if this is there any questions regarding the kit or anything, and then I can probably go to the Firefox app. You don't really have to buy appropriate glasses, let me tell you. by being absolutely safe, which is to, okay, so there are a few things to be taken care of in this laser. You make sure that when the light is falling, it doesn't fall on a very reflective surface. No mirrors in the room. No very large reflecting surfaces. Okay. And whenever you have a glass or anything like that, make sure that your eye level is not same as the beam eye level. Keep the beam lower. Is that okay? So when you move around, you walk around, it is, you know, at your chest height or even lower. It is not at your eye level. I think these precautions, if you take, you don't really have to buy goggles to keep your eyes safe. So in that sense, it's okay. But again, you can't really put into the eye and say that, oh, whether it burns my eye or not, that is simply not done. So please be very, very careful. You know, a glancing through the eye might certainly not damage, but you don't want to test it. Let me put it that way. Be extremely careful. If you're aware that it's a laser, it is not a normal source of light. It is not the torch. Once you're clear about that, you should be safe. Anand, you want to add something to this? I don't know. You're a better experimentalist. You're an experimentalist, really. I'm just a pretend experimentalist. So if you want to add something for safety, please do. Yeah, Anand is not around, is it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, sir, the black sheets are polarizers. That is correct. You can also unmute yourself and ask, yeah, because I cannot. Okay, I can see. Yes, yes, the black sheets are indeed polarizers. Maybe I have not, Play-Doh, haven't got the kit yet. Yeah. So by the way, only 20 people have got the kit. 60 more need to reach. Remember, we have 86. And that's about it. Yes. Any other question? Okay. So now let me get to the next business, which is the detection part, right? I told you there is something, the app called Firefox, right? I hope everybody knows what that app is so that I don't really have to repeat it. And if most of you have downloaded that app, that will be fantastic. So once you click on that app, so let me just show you this thing. And you know, this is the one which is, sorry. So let me just switch on the app and then on my phone. So, you know, this is the kind of app that you will see. Oh, this is reversed, is it? Okay, so let me do one more thing. I can basically share my app screen probably. So let me do that.
So you can mirror your video as well if you want to.
I can mirror my video, no? That will be better. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. So video filter will be that, or video setting probably. And I say no. Can everybody see that? Yes. That's okay, I think. Yes. Fantastic. So this is the app. I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not familiar, please make sure that you actually download this app. So you see on the top, it's a fantastic app. I mean, that I can tell you. There are so many things that the phone can do. But apart from that, what we're interested is actually basically this light app. Okay. So let me press that light app. And this is what you would get, right? It measures lux. Okay. And so let me not get any reflections of this. I don't know how much we can manage that. Okay. So what I can do here is, let me just first share this screen with you so that, so for example, I can allow for remote access. And what it does is actually, it's very nice. It gives me a particular IP address to type so that I can get the remote access of this particular app as I am having it here. So let me just do that and I will share that screen with you. So I'm just simply typing out the remote access URL that they have given me, which is 192. This for my phone. So everyone will be different. And I will share my screen. Just give me a minute. 192.168. Oh, fantastic. So, yeah. So I've got my app there. Let me now share screen and I can show you what exactly I am seeing. Yes. Can you see this is precisely my Firefox Lite app. So I have literally gone from my phone. It is, I can control the whole experiment, right? Using this computer screen or my phone, either of them, right? So my phone can become the detector there, right? So for example, I'm looking at the illuminance in this room. I just say record data right here. Can you see that? And this is going to now basically, record this. And maybe let's look at the simple, it's about 15 lux, 20 lux. And let me point it to the, this is to the tube light, about 75 lux, right? Again, back to the camera, it's about 14 lux, 12 lux. So you see, and this allows you to also, sort of, it is basically recording this data, right? So I think you have to keep, so some of these apps require you to keep fluctuating. So you see that when I do the laser pointer business, you can check it for yourself. There is a variation in the index. It is never a constant. So that's one of the first experiments that you would do, which is to measure the lux, measure the illuminance of your laser as put in front of this camera, on this front of this light meter. Is that okay? So you see there you are getting this data in time, right? And it's kind of fluctuating. And you can also do multiple things, which is to, for example, I think you can export this data. For example, export data, download this data in Excel. So it has an empty response. So let me, whoops. So there is something that went wrong, but I'm sure you can figure this out. Light. Let me try it again. Export data, download data. Somehow it is telling me that the page is not working. Let me try it on the phone and probably if that works, Excel file, okay. Great, it seems to do it on my phone. So maybe I can show you here. So maybe stop share. So you see that I got this Excel file, which has got my timestamp on the left and on the right, I have the data, right? Illuminance. So you see, you can actually do whatever fancy stuff you want with this. It's quite nice. What I did was also another thing. Yes, tell me.
Sir, how did you find your, hello?
Tell me, yes.
Sir, how did you convert your app into your PC?
That's what I'm saying. So
any option?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's actually quite fantastic. So Firefox, when you go to Firefox, right? This app,
yes, sir.
Right? On the
yes,
app,
sir.
on the right-hand side, so let me just show you, there is actually a menu. So on this right-hand side, okay, let me first share the screen, then I can take you step by step. Just give me a minute.
Sir, allow remote access here.
Yeah, remote, I'm telling you.
Okay.
So if you go to this, okay, oh, it doesn't show me that. Okay, so remote access is present in your phone itself. So let me stop share, I will show you.
Yes, sir.
So if you look at the menu on the top, it says allow remote access, right? Which I have clicked on. Look at this, allow remote access.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you click it on, then it gives you a email URL ID, which you type in into your browser and you get the screen which I showed you.
Okay.
Is that okay? So yes, what I'm trying to say is just one device, you can record data sort of in the PC and yet play around with this to align it, When you're aligning it, you don't have to really worry about, what is the graph. You can see the graph in this computer. Fluence. Okay, and if I point it towards maybe my window, it's here. It's much more brighter. So there you go. You see, you get a kink there, and it will become more and more because I'm more and more towards the tube light, which is about 70, 80. Yeah, there you go. So one can basically play around with this. Now, okay, one important thing is that where is the light meter in this Android? Which is non-trivial, by the way. So it roughly, exactly. It doesn't seem to work on the camera. Yeah. So light meter is not the camera. Okay. So in my phone, not all Android phones. So light meter is somewhere here. Let me just point it out. I don't have a pointer, but
Sir,
Sir, you are muted.
You are muted.
All right. So the light meter is somewhere near the camera. It is somewhere here. All right. Now you will say, how do I know that? I know that because I use the laser to figure out where it was. It requires a little bit of work. So every camera will have at some point, it is not the camera. Camera is not where the light meter is. The light meter is usually, so I just show you this graph and maybe that will make sense. So of course, this is a huge.
Sir, you could just drag your finger across the phone and whenever the light meter goes to 0, it will...
Yeah, that also you could do. I don't want to mark it and then make a big mess of it. So you look at can you see this screen here? And you see that it'll just shoot up like anything. I need to, you see the point? Probably not. So look at these numbers, okay? And I have to be in the inverse world.
Yes,
can you see that? Yeah. So you need to figure out where is the light meter in your phone. As simple as that. Be very careful. Don't do this pointing towards yourself. I'm a bad example. Do it. Make sure that you're looking somewhere. Best alignment is you are looking somewhere and you are doing this. Okay. The reflection from the phone is going to the wall. Is that okay? And then you can literally do it very carefully. So let me get out of the screen and I'm showing you what I'm doing. Let's see. So this, if you see, you will see that suddenly. Yeah, there you go. See, can you see that light meter? It just goes crazy. The numbers go crazy.
Yes.
Right? So please figure it out for yourself. Where exactly is the light meter? And there is no better tool than, please don't put it directly, because the reflection back will come into your eye. So be very, very careful. Again, I cannot emphasize this more. We are actually given you a dangerous toy now that I realize it. But then otherwise we can't do much experiments without that, right? So yes, it is exactly the same. Light meter is precisely the same that chooses to change the brightness of the phone as you walk it in the sun, right? Yes, precisely. That is what is the light meter, right? So you can figure it out either, as somebody said, you take a piece of paper maybe, and walk around and you see that suddenly the lux will go to 0. For example, let me do that so that it is, I don't want to really put my finger there and you will see that it doesn't, but now it does. But this is really too big. So you won't never know where exactly it is. Nothing like the laser pointer that tells you precisely where it is. So I've taken a small piece of paper and you see that somewhere around here. Yeah, there you go. Around here, the lux goes to 0. You see? So that's a way to figure out where the light meter is within your phone. So first do with the paper, and then the exact location you will know. And best is to switch on the Firefox app and then look at the relative location as to where the light this thing. I use that to align it and measure something, by the way, today, fluctuation, just to make sure that it actually works. It does work. Is that okay? So,
Sir, but the major problem is like the alignment of optics. If the optics isn't aligned correctly and the laser isn't like on the principal axis, then it often goes up and down, and detecting it with such a small sensor in the phone, which is like a pinhole nearly.
Correct.
It is difficult.
Yes,
so
I agree.
Either we have to hold it, we will have to make a stand for it. Otherwise, we'll shake it with our hands.
I will tell you what I am doing here. I am working on this, front room ka table. Okay. And there is a bed opposite on which I made the alignment for keeping my sensor. Right. And I put books. See, I didn't want to use anything which is not there at your home. Books together to put the laser, switch it on and keep it there and align my phone precisely. It takes 10 minutes. Okay. In a flimsy way to put it together. Once you have done it, all that you need to do is record data. All right. So it does take time to align. And once there is more optics and so on, you'll have to figure out a good place to work with. I would still believe that a dining table or some sort of a table would be a sufficient surface area for you to work with. All right. Nothing ideal. None of these solutions are ideal. Please understand. And we are going to rely on your ingenuity to figure out how to go about doing it. Is that fine? Yes. Anything else? Any other concern?
So for the double slit, like what will we use to like for the screen in the background which the patterns will form?
Yeah. What do you think you should do? Yeah,
we can use any paper or...
Absolutely. You should use actually paper. Stick a white paper where you can, so that stick a white paper and you can easily do that.
And so for fixing the blades, we'll need the clay. So like.
Yes. So sellotape, clay, you may not use the clay. You be creative.
Like adjustment, like making the slit.
That's why. No, slit. Okay, slit is a non-trivial thing. What do you think you should do?
So we'll need to cover the blades, the middle hole they have, and then.
Actually, that middle hole doesn't play too much of a role because the beam is pretty small. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that imagine two cardboard pieces like that, right? A hole. Cardboard hole on which you lay the blade one next to the other. So lay the first one, stick it up with the sellotape, take the second one being as close as possible until you make a very narrow strip and look at the diffraction pattern from the laser. You're done. So I want you to do this. Please.
Or we could just use a large paper clip also and keep the blades, right?
Be my guest. Whatever you think. Paper clips, there is a problem, but you'll figure it out. It is kind of tight and kind of realigns it. We don't want the blade to bend.
Or like a jump clip.
Whatever, sir. It's up to you. Be my guest. Anything that you think will work, should work during the experiment. And once you have aligned everything and put it, when you're going to take your final data. So there's always going to be a lousy, rough data. Okay. Then, oh, yaar, ye to ho gaya, but lux ठीक से नहीं measure किया. This, that, sundry, all kinds of issues. So there'll be that part. And then there is a final data. Before you take the final data, take your phone, take a nice picture. The proof that I have aligned it in my own way, and that needs to go into your report. So that we know that you have done it. Is that okay? These are the rules of the game that we are playing. Is that fine? How accurate a data that we expect. So that's why, as I said very much in my first class, remove every source. So, there are ridiculous errors, which is my sensor is not even in the laser beam. These error has to be completely gone. Now my sensor was partially in the beam. as I did my experiment, the beam walked off from the sensor. Like that is also terrible, right? So these kind of ridiculous errors you'll have to minimize. Try to minimize most systematic errors, which is use the app and that's about it. Make sure that the numbers are actually varying. Actually, this light meter, you can't really saturate it. I have seen it. It's about 2 million it can go to and still not saturate. Okay. So it does have some cutoff internal, whatever. So anyway, so you can actually, somebody says the laser can damage your phone. Yes, indeed, it can. It can. Probably it can. So use it with care. Okay. So let me put it this way. What you can certainly do is you take the laser light and put it through, you know, tissue paper maybe to cut down the intensity. Or no, actually, why? You can use these. You can use these our two polarizers that we have given you, right? Yes. So for example, if I have my laser light now, the fact that I now use, you know, I can, let me just show you. It doesn't, okay. I'm sure you can see the laser beam now. And all that I'm doing is I'm putting it through one of these guys. See, you can see the variation in the, right? This is, the output is a little polarized, but if you use two of them, for example, at an angle, you will see that you will completely cut down the laser light. Is that okay? You can come as a function of, if I completely make it perpendicular, I get there is no laser light at all. Okay. It is just here. And as I give an angle to this, you know, little light comes in. So you can control the intensity completely by using these two polarizers. Is that okay? So be creative. Find out another way of controlling intensity, which could be just pushing it through a stack of tissue papers. That will also decrease the beam tremendously. Okay. And once you do a proper experiment, which is diffraction and so on, the diffraction pattern itself will widen. So at no point will your phone get damaged, right? You can just walk across. So that is one way. The light meter is one method of doing it. The other method is take the image of the light on the wall, right? Take a photograph and then put it in our ImageJ software, right? Where again, you can get the value of the intensity but as a function of pixel, right? So you can do either of those to make it work. Is that fine? Anything else?
Holding together the polarizers in place, we need to use the paper clips or sellotape might damage the.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you make a hole inside a cardboard and fix it up, then your center region remains undamaged, right?
Okay, okay.
You can't put a paper clip that's going across. Make sure that you have a operational region about 1 inch dia.
Okay.
Right. If you make sure of that, it should be okay. Don't worry about damaging that film itself. It is not an issue, but do it with care that you don't damage the central part. Otherwise, your polarizer stops working. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
My phone doesn't have a light sensor. Hello. So should I buy a separate?
So sorry, I can't hear you at all. Can you?
Sir, my phone doesn't have a light sensor.
I can't hear you. Sorry, I'm unable to.
Sir, I think this person asked the same question in the chat already, so you can just look at it.
I see. Okay. Somebody who does not have a light sensor in their phone, what do you do? Does your phone have a camera? Excuse me, the person who asked, can you tell me whether your phone has a camera?
Yes, sir.
If there is a camera, then you can use the ImageJ software, no? I already mentioned how to do that. construct a JPEG file of the pattern you see, and you'll be able to follow it through. Or I mean, just borrow it from a friend for measuring the laser fluctuation. Yeah, one day. Some friend, some relative, just borrow it for one day. Measure the fluctuation. Rest of it you can do by. So there is only one experiment that requires you directly the light meter, which is the laser fluctuation. Other than that, you can just take steady images on the wall and process it through the ImageJ software. Is that fine? I don't really want you to buy a phone. We can borrow it. Don't steal, beg, borrow. This should do. Is that okay? Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, Anand.
So I
you want to
tested
add?
last night. The laser on new batteries works for almost 30 minutes continuously on the intensity that it is originally. After that, it starts to dim up.
Not bad. No problem. Oh, it's okay. Actually, we have given you a lot of intensity, not required. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's why I am asking you to be very, very careful. We should have given you much. We wanted to give something which is reliable. You know, many of the laser pointers don't work after some time. So we want to make sure that at least it works for 6 months here. So, yeah. Instructions for experiment number 1. That's what experiment number 1 is to track the intensity variation of the laser, right? So put on the laser, align your light detector, and track the variation in illuminance as a function of time. Collect the plot, look at its, average, its variance, all that Saikat talked about. Plot it, see what it is, give it an error bar, and then you have it. That's your laser intensity variation. That's your experiment number 1. Is that okay? Submission of the deadline, don't you worry about it. First week will be a little easy on you. Not everybody has got the kit. Only after everybody gets the kit that we will start putting deadlines. A week after that will become the deadline. Is that okay? But at the moment, people have not got the kit. Please wait for your kit to come. Make sure you, become familiar with the contents of it, and then we can start. Yeah. Anand, maybe you want to talk something about laser safety just as the end of it so that...
Yeah, so the high powered laser, that actually makes life easier in one sense, that doing the experiment becomes slightly easier. You can, see things even when there's some light in the room and so on. But of course, having the high powered laser makes the safety, pretty stringent. So that's the trade-off. So, right now with the 100 milliwatt, even if you have, some light bulb on in the room, you should still be able to use a white sheet of paper or just see a wall. If it's a whitewashed, you can see the pattern on the wall itself. But yes, I don't think we can stress it, more that laser is a dangerous thing. 100 milliwatt is a lot of power. It's an, insane amount of power. So try to not expose your skin, definitely not your eyes. I think Harsh has stressed that enough. And we will come back to the safety point week after week. And I think in this case, the responsibility has to be, and the responsibility has to be yours because you're at home, we're not seeing you. So the response, this is a trust that we are working with, that you will handle the laser in a responsible manner. So we trust you.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Again, any confusion you have about using of laser, anything goes wrong, do let us know. Than just experimenting too much with it. But you're supposed to experiment, but not with the laser and its power too much. So even though it's a small laser, 100 milliwatt is a lot of power. Yes.
Yeah. Mm. All right, then I can.
Any question anybody has? I think we have asked enough. But if anybody has any. Okay, so I will put it up, this discussion session on YouTube within, few hours or by tomorrow. so that you can go back and check the details again. Okay. So I think we are done, Harsha.
So we are not aware of the YouTube. So which YouTube channel are you guys uploading?
Oh, are you not getting the emails from the course webpage? I'm putting that in the announcement. How come you're not getting the email? Are you registered in the course? Check with the DOA office. Everybody who is registered in the course should get an email.
Yes, sir, but we're not getting any notification about the...
Okay, send me an email. Okay, send me an email, whoever is not getting, and I can do double check, because I'm not copy pasting. It is just going through the course web page. So there should be no confusion, ideally.
Put off the notification or whatever, but make sure that you periodically go through almost every day, check out what are the announcements, irrespective of whether you get a mail or not.
No. So far, all the announcements I have made.
To the web page of that, you are certainly have the latest detail and the latest. They are there, right?
Yeah, all the announcement I'm putting it on Mookit. I am sending that in the email as well. So I think you should be getting it in the email unless you have turned it off somehow in the Mookit setting. Okay, somebody is saying turn it on in the Mookit setting. So maybe you need to turn something, the email notification on, I guess.
Sir, it's mostly turned off because like you keep getting notification about forum, about people posting on the forum.
Okay, so in that case, it is your responsibility to go check the Mookit website every now and then.
Website periodic. I mean, to do it every day. I don't understand what is the big deal.
For the last announcement, there's a link which is saying access denied. So the last announcement, there's Professor Sekat's video lecture link, and it's saying access denied.
Access denied. That is not possible.
These are public. Well, why don't you send me that? I mean, if it looks like it is just a problem specific to 1 or 2 students, or maybe few students, you know, in that case, you can just send me an email. Maybe I can do double check. But I think first, make sure that you have the setting, proper setting in Mookit, so that then you receive the notification. And after that, it is pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm putting the YouTube, the videos on YouTube in the public domain. So there is no, there is really no restriction there. There should be no restriction there. But if you have any
Sir, I have another tutorial. Can I leave?
Yeah, please. You can. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think we should wrap it up here, I guess, as well.
So one last thing. The last announcement, I think, was not the discussion hour that we had with Professor Saikath, right? This is a follow-up to that, right? As in, it's different from the last discussion hour that we had on Thursday.
Yeah. We will not repeat discussion hours at all.
No, I mean, so in the last announcement, there was a link that was posted.
The
right?
same link. We are talking about the video link is different. The Zoom link is exactly the same for all, whether tutorials or discussion hour, whatever you call it. For the lab part, there's only one Zoom link.
No,
okay?
sir, that's not what I was asking.
But the lecture itself, there is a Zoom link. There is a YouTube link which has been put up.
And
is that correct?
That YouTube link is there on the Mookit as well. So you need not go through the YouTube channel directly. Even if you don't know what the YouTube channel is, okay. You just go to the Mookit. It is there. The video is there. If you click it, you can either watch it right on Mookit or, you know, go to YouTube and watch it. There is a link there.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
You can see my video.
Yes.
There is the mail, and when I click this link, it shows access denied.
Okay.
I guess the announcement is saying access denied, but then in the videos posted, the same video is there, and then you can go and open it in YouTube. So I think that way it is working, but the announcement link is not working.
Oh, announcement link, there is a problem. Okay. So do one thing, I know one of you or few of you can send an email to Anand and he will get it checked by the Mookit team. as to what is going wrong with that announcement link. Is that okay? Please do that. Anand, maybe that can be checked with the Mookit team.
Yeah.
I think only the announcement maybe
Yeah,
there might be
yeah.
something.
Again, whoever has the issue is if it's just 1 or 2 or is it 1020. I mean, then if it's 1020, then there is definitely some problem. But if it's 1 or 2, it could be just the account specific settings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right then. Thank you so much. We are shutting off the video.